Hey guys, Mike here. So boy, big week ahead and not a lot of big earnings, but boy, do we have a lot of big economic data. Got inflation data coming out this week, so we're going to see how that's going to go. I think we all understand if it comes in hot, that is not going to be a good thing, okay? So we'll see if they can at least come out as is. Again, we'll go into some of the stocks and everything. We're not going to cover a ton of charts, but it's really one of those things where you'll be surprised, even with all this selling, guys, there are so many charts that still have not hit oversold on the daily, which is why, to me, you're not really seeing these big bounces. Normally you do have some kind of relief rally, oversold, whatever. You know, we've had little ones, but when you get that daily oversold, that's when you usually get it. And we hadn't gotten that on a lot of major stocks or indexes right now, even though we're down for sure with the Qs being, you know, hitting official correction territory. Okay. 200 moving average, I showed you that's coming to play on all of them. They're trying to hold a bunch of those, okay? And so this is those times you would normally see it. And so we'll talk about a few things that need to happen on that. Also, we'll talk about it's just dominating the talks of every company right now. I will show you actually what a trade war looks like, and you'll see it. And when you see it, you'll say, oh yeah, I see where we're at right now, because we've been through it. We've been through it in 2018. No big deal. I'll also ask you a question to put in the comments on that. But the one thing I can tell you right now is the biggest question. And by the way, thanks for watching the video yesterday and sharing it and all that good stuff. Hope you enjoyed it. I know I enjoy putting it together for you. I always enjoy the research videos with your questions. But, you know, somebody had asked me, and I meant after in that video in the comments was like, you know, what can you be looking out for, right? If you're not looking at a chart or whatever, I'm gonna tell you the easiest thing you look out for right now, if you think or wonder if there's gonna be a recession, is listen to yourself and the conversation going on between your friends and family right now. I can tell you right now, I had lunch with somebody today. I've known this person for decades. I can tell you they used a phrase I've never heard this person utter in my life. And it was this right here. We can't afford that. And I was like, I was taken back because I know their finances, I know their situation. And I was like, really? Pretty good situation. I've never heard those words uttered, okay? Now, they can afford it, what they're talking about, right? But guess what? Both of them work for the government. And I can guarantee you there are many, hundreds of thousands, if not millions of government employees right now that at least one time sat down with their spouse or whoever or thought, maybe I need to start coming back on spending right now because I don't know if I'm going to have a job. And that's true, right? And, you know, so be listening to people. When you're talking to them, I had somebody ask me this weekend, it never fails because they know I have a channel, and another guy works in finance, and they go, hey, Mike, is this recession going to be worse than 2008? And I'm like, what? I was like, what are you talking about? I'm like, where did that come from? You know, I mean, are we going to have a recession? Is the big one? Probably. But, you know, is it going to be worse than 2008? And I was like, okay. And so we went through and talking about it, right? But you're getting those questions because they work in construction. It's not good to be in construction when there's a recession, okay? And so just listen to people and think about yourself, because what really causes a recession more than anything else, okay, there's always fancy things, is when people stop spending, when they cut back. That's what really accelerates the move down and panics companies. And they're like, oh my God, right? You'll hear it on the earnings calls from them. And so, and it's not people like mostly you and I, right? We live below our means, within a budget, very proud of that, by the way. And so, but the economy depends on people who don't live within their means, who love to spend, and just, you know, like money grows on trees. When those people cut back, and when those people stop going swipey swipe on the credit cards, that's when things get bad. All right, that's what you're looking for. Okay, in 2022, they kept saying, gonna be a recession, and you're looking around at Vegas and the cruise lines and the airport, and you're going, what recession? You could just see it. Okay, like in recessions, people aren't, you know, talking about and going on vacations right and left. It doesn't work that way. Okay, that's just not how it works. And so, but you can see in 2020, there's no recession here. I mean, look like by the numbers, you know, the Atlanta Fed's like, oh, it's negative 3% GDP. I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, malls are cram-packed, the stores are packed out. Like, give me a break. And so you can kind of see, if you've lived through recessions before, you'll know what I'm talking about. Like, that's what you're looking for. So just start paying attention to that. Start paying attention to that. And that's what these, you know, tariffs and the cutbacks in the biggest hire in the country is government, right? And all this stuff, that is what creates uncertainty. And that's why you see don't worry about the fear and greed index on CNN right now. It's broken. I showed you that. But it's the sentiment. That's why people panic out and they go, oh my God, the sentiment's worse. And it's kind of crazy to think the sentiment now is like almost as bad as it was in 2020 when we shut down the world. All right. But when you see sentiment, that uncertainty, not just for the markets, for people, makes people close their wallets and zip their purses up. And that's not good for the economy. Okay, so ask yourself, and you can put in the comments, are you doing that? Have your family members talked about doing that? Have your friends talked about doing that? And when you start hearing, and those conversations will start happening. You will hear it. When you start hearing that, it's no different than when the stock market is raging to all-time new highs. You get on an elevator with co-workers, whoever, people that have never talked about buying stocks or crypto, and all of a sudden they turn to you and go, I think I'm gonna get me some of that Bitcoin. I think I'm gonna get me some of that, whatever, hims and hers or whatever, and Palantir, and you're like, what? When they're at all-time highs, that's when you know it's time to get out, right? Well, it's no different when people start talking about the opposite. Or they go, yeah, we're gonna cancel that vacation, or we're gonna start doing this or that, or they start coming to you, which you better and go, hey, how do you create a budget? That's when you're like, uh-oh. Right, there's a reason why they don't teach teenagers and encourage savings in this country. Okay, that's not how this house of cards works. Okay, we're a country on debt. We need everybody to run up the debt. That's the case. Okay, so those people that are drowning in credit card debt, that have credit cards will never pay off, when they stop spending, that's when you got a problem. Okay, so that's what you can start looking out for. And please let me know in the comments if you're hearing that at all. Now, talking about tariffs, look, it's obviously dominating the corporate American world, right? Which is not good, okay? I mean, this is because these corporations have to plan out a long time in advance, and right now they're kind of in this wait-and-see mode, okay? Which does what? Slows down things. I mean, look at that. That's crazy. I mean, that's what you're seeing, right? This is what a trade war cycle looks like. New tariffs, boom, already had it. Market sell-off. We're in it right now, right? Trade war fears. Then all of a sudden they report progress. What are they doing? You're seeing this every day. Well, we're going to exempt autos because we talked to them, had a great talk. We're going to exempt this because we had a great talk. You're seeing that, right? And then, of course, what you're waiting on, what you hadn't gotten yet, because there's still more tariffs supposed to take place, even this week coming up. And then there's, at some point in time, market rallies on hopes of progress. And then there's no progress. And then, boom, here's more tariffs, okay? So, put in the bottom, what do you think here? You got three options. Are we in a bull market, bear market, or do you think we're in a kangaroo market? We've been in the kangaroo market before. Just Google it if you've never seen it. But please put in the bottom what you think we're in. I'm just curious to see what you guys think. Now, looking at, the S&P 500 here, it's still on the daily has not hit oversold. That's the line for oversold, at least on a regular RSI. Still has not hit that. You can see in the back right here, like big rally up. What we do, we touched the oversold to the left, and so usually that's when you get it. When you get on the daily, we've seen these little small rallies on the smaller time frames. There you got oversold, came up and then sold back down. And then of course, even if we get a pop up, the question is, are people going to use it for exit liquidity to get out of position that they're in, right? Put in the comments if you are. And so you can see the 200, we got below it on the S&P. When the S&P came down Friday, it came down to a weekly fair value gap, mitigated completely, and then bounced, and we went on a rally. Same thing we did the previous Friday, okay? And it wasn't even, to me, it was more of a muted rally. It was a good comeback, but that's not what we ended up like crazy like we did the previous Friday. And as soon as it touched it, bam, it ended up going up from there. And you can see on the weekly RSI, we're below the 50. That's usually not where you want to be. That's a momentum indicator, right? You don't want to be there. You want to get a turnaround. So if you can get not only the daily, first of all, you got to get the daily there, but the weekly start to turn back up. That's what you're going to need. Okay, this ain't the speedboat. This is more of a bigger aircraft trying to turn in the ocean. Just imagine that right there. And if it can get above 50, obviously the bull will start to do something. Okay, but the other pattern you're looking for in S&P is this megaphone. Like you can pull a bunch of these out, and so end up getting below this. Now it's closed above it. Again, has lost all the election gains at this point in time. That's been given back. That's all been closed out, all that fun stuff. So nobody has to talk about that anymore. And so we get to see, like, is this going to be a rally? And you just want to start to see that market structure start to play out and what it's going to be aiming at, right? You got right here. These are 4-hour fair value gaps. That's liquidity it can aim for sure. There's a couple of them on here. When it gets in this, what should happen is it should get rejected or start to stall out in these areas as it mitigates these large fair value gaps. And that's where we're going to have to see, like, is if we start to get a pop, which usually happens, markets don't go straight down unless something crazy happens, then is it just going to be a liquidity grab up and then rejection down, okay? And then, of course, we get a rejection down and break the 200 again. That's when you really see massive selling start to take place, or could, that is, okay? Now, when you look over here, again, the Qs, again, it's below its 200 moving average. There's a trend line right here that is trying to fight, okay? It lost it on Friday. That goes back to January 2023. And so you're talking about over a 2-year trend line right there. And so it's sitting basically like right on top of it, just nipped right below it, came down to horizontal support right there and bounced and closed above it. Still right there near the 200 moving average. So that 200 moving average is coming to play on a lot of different things. RSI right there, you can see it. That's a weekly below the 50. This, believe it or not, you would think this thing would be oversold on the daily. It has not. It's at 32, 33 right now, or has bounced on 32, 33 multiple times, but did not get it. On my RSI, it's 28, okay? I do the basic RSI. I don't set it. I just go ahead and use whatever trading view gives me, and still not there yet, which is surprising with all this sell down. We just hadn't seen it, okay? And there's that trend line I was talking to you about. But on the Qs, you know, you're trying to see something like this right here. We start to break these levels. I think it's like 503, 504. Come back down. It'll come right below that level to take out your stop, because most people put their stops right at the level, and then continue up. Like, that's something you want to see, right? If you're a bull and you're trying to sit there and go, okay, let's get this rally going, start to move up. You just got to start to see that market structure start to play out. You saw the market structure on the way down, right? Lower highs, lower lows, right? So now we're going to try for higher highs, higher lows on the lower time frames. Now, I don't know if this has to happen, honestly, but you can see what's happening, right? Do Chinese stocks and European stocks need to cool off? Because our money's going there too. That's just the way it is. These things are going up crazy. Normally, you'll see these move in the same direction, but clearly the S&P is lagging like crazy because, again, what's China doing? Major freaking stimulus. Okay, what's Germany doing? Major stimulus is coming, right? Because they're going to start spending a lot on defense spending and all this other stuff. I think they rewrote their whole constitution. So again, money's just flowing to areas that don't have to deal with the kind of stuff we're dealing with right now, the uncertainty part of it, and have been beaten down or whatever. But normally these can go in the same direction. So we could get the turn up and all three can go. But what I'm looking for to see if the Chinese stocks kind of cool down, start to consolidate, because they've had such big moves, and the European stocks do the same thing. I think that would bode well for at least a rally here. Whether or not that takes us to new highs, I don't know. Okay, now, everybody's just guessing on that for sure if they're trying to say that. Again, seasonality bodes well. Middle of March, going into April, that kind of stuff. And so we'll see if that plays out. But again, you can't predict what the government's going to do anymore. You can't predict what the news is going to be, retaliatory tariffs, all that fun stuff, okay? You just don't know what that's going to be doing. And so as I'm saying, listen to what your folks are saying around you as far as they closing their pocketbooks, you closing your wallet, watch the bond market, right, for any kind of stress. But you can see, I mean, these can go in the same direction. We just got to pay attention to them because it's obvious that big hedge funds, as they told you, are buying those kind of stocks, right? Now, in order for it to turn, you need the big boys, right? Shockingly, Microsoft still not oversold. That's kind of crazy. You would think the move down it's had, but these don't get oversold very often on the daily, believe it or not. It's kind of surprising, but this one came down into that little space we talked about. I had boxed out for you guys and got to pop up, but again, still can't break above that trend line. It's been getting rejected every time it hits it. And so if this does move up, like 414 will be a beast to get through. I have no doubt about that. I've already marked that out for sure. The one thing it does have going for it is, if seasonality does play out, these are going to be for the best weeks coming up here, I believe, starting in like March 12th, 13th or something, of Microsoft, usually for the year. I mean, it's really good performance during those weeks, okay? We just got to see this seasonality is going to play out, just like seasonality paid out in the middle of February, okay? Now, believe it or not, NVIDIA still nowhere near oversold, even after moving down like this. But again, I showed you that distribution, Wyckoff distribution chart, and you see a lot of them going through this, right? Haven't been oversold since, I think, like 2022. They may have touched it in 2023 once. And so again, you got a trend line down there by the 0.79 fib. I think a lot of people are watching that $100 psychological level, if that's where it wants to come down to step in and stuff. I know people that are, DCAing in this right here because it is NVIDIA. And then we'll talk about another semi that, might even be performing better, honestly, at this point in time. But again, if we start getting above, just watch for market structure start breaking out. Watch for the fibs. I'd say get above that 0.5 fib right there and get through, like, for example, something simple, that 4-hour fair value gap, right? Mitigated there, sold back down. We got a gap right above us. Let's try to get the gap fill and then try to maybe get up to like 120, 121, see if we can break that level. Start turning to support. Okay, that's kind of what you want to look for. And if we come down, just watch that trend line, especially $100 psychological level. That's a big one. Okay, now one that might do better, right? Had really good earnings is Avgo. Now, it's the top in the stocks, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, that ETF. As you can see, flipping resistance and support. And so that's a big thing. Again, it really gapped up on earnings, gave it all back like everything else did. But this right here, and from a technical standpoint, it looks better, honestly, and the earnings were good. I mean, the earnings were good, and I believe, if I'm not mistaken, on the daily, it got oversold, right? So you're getting that bounce as well. So a lot of things line up for that one if it's going to happen, because semis have just been under massive, massive pressure right now, like all of them have. And so, this is one of those ones, I'd say around 203. That's what you really want to break for sure to start moving, but just start looking for those higher lows, higher highs, and do not break 180. I think that's going to be the key for this one. Going into Amazon is another one. Got oversold, finally one of the mega caps got oversold, bounced 3 times now. You can see, last time it got oversold, it had this huge rally back up, coming into an area where it kind of filled that volume gap, trying to turn what was support, back into support from resistance right there. And this one also is above its 200 right now. So it's another one's floating on its 200. And it's had a nice sell down, come to a nice discount area. And I actually pulled the fibs all the way down from the last rally. The rally from August of 2024, we started to see this big move up from like 155 to 240, okay? And it's at the 50 Fibonacci level right now. Tesla, I'm not gonna spend too much time on this one because I talked to you guys about it. It's giving back all its election gains, filled the November gap just the other day, which is a good thing. You have the 100, the 200 weekly sitting right there below it, major discount area. This one has no flow in the option market right now. We know it's a momentum stock, okay? It doesn't trade on fundamentals. All the news is terrible coming out of this. And you actually got news coming out now in a lot of different countries where they're just basically boycotting Tesla at this point in time because of Elon's involvement with the government. Take that for what it's worth. And so this one needs something to just shift the momentum to have people flowing into call sweeps, right? Because it's down huge. This obviously is another one that, yes, it's definitely oversold on the daily, okay? I didn't even check the weekly, but this one's definitely oversold. And so in the area it's in, is it set up for a bounce? Absolutely. I mean, just look at all that confluence right there, okay? But right now, that's just not happening. So it needs some kind of spark to get this thing going. It is a momentum stock, not something that trades on fundamentals. That's just the way it is, okay? And so another thing that's happening, just FYI, there were some stocks that were added to like the S&P 100, Palantir Technologies, congratulations, March 24th, it'll be added to that. You can see, and you can pause this and look at it, see if your stocks are being deleted or added. Being deleted is usually not very good. Being added actually is good, okay? And so when you scroll down, I think Palantir is a very popular one right there. You also see Hims and Hers being added to the S&P 400 on March 24th, excuse me. So that's another one, so we'll look at both of those right there. But just pause this, look and see if your stock is in there. And usually the reason why it's bullish because also they'll start adding these to different ETFs and all that fun stuff. But Palantir, I gotta admit, man, this thing is holding up way better than most of these other stocks. I mean, it just will not give up that area right there. But that lets you know, though, if that area breaks, you know, it's like watch out below, okay? Because it's definitely testing. And so if you can get a move up, 94.65 is where I would target for a move up. If it breaks this level, coming down, I would say definitely watch 76 first and then watch 70, which is a huge psychological level right there on the chart. When you come over here to the weekly, you can see what I'm talking about. That's the 0.5 fib, and there's a weekly fair value gap there. That's where I'm kind of getting that number from. If you're looking for that target, if it moves up right there. And there's no doubt, look, if the market gets a rally, these are the kind of stocks that are absolutely going to move. If they hold up during the sell-off, they're definitely going to move on those rallies for sure, okay? Hims, again, finally come down in this box right here. And what it's trying to do is turn resistance into support. There's really no real support till you get down between like $20, $25. But it got a decent bounce right there. Again, it didn't come down to 200, but it is sitting there above the 100. So decent confluence, huge discount. It's lost, I mean, major gains, okay? I mean, coming down from, what was it, like 75 bucks to be at 32 the other day. So not good there. But again, when you pull this up, you can just see, I mean, clear levels, right? 41.20 right there. And then you come up here and say, okay, let's see if we can get from there, this right here, $46. And then you're just looking for the same thing to move up, set a higher high on a lower time frame, come back down, set a higher low, right? And it'll come down pretty much beneath that level, right, to take out your stop and all that fun stuff. But, you know, that's where we're at on that one. So, again, this is another one that will fly if there's any kind of like bear market rally, relief rally, whatever you want to call it, oversold rally, whatever it is, okay? Now, when it comes to other earnings, not anything super big this week compared to the other weeks, okay? But on Monday, you will have Oracle coming out. That'll be the only one I'd be looking for on that day. Maybe Redwire, I think is another one. And then, of course, on Tuesday, we're going to start getting more of these retailers, Kohl, Dick's Sporting Goods coming out, come over. And, you know, there's going to be nothing I see going on in the afternoon right there. Then there's going to be Zim, which, you know, no big deal. I'm just desperate to pick something out here because there's really nothing big as far as earnings. Go in the afternoon, you get Adobe, you get UiPath, going to be a big one, Sentinel One, American Eagle. And then we're going to come over to Thursday. I don't really see too much. Dollar General, we talked about that chart, by the way, if you hadn't pulled it up. Then you'll have the afternoon, DocuSign, Ulta right there. And then on Friday, Li Auto. I mean, I think all of them have been rallying except for NIO when it comes to it's a Chinese stock. So we'll see how that one's going to do. And then the big one's going to be the data because you're going to end up having a lot of inflation data, okay? Daylight savings time, so that's a good thing. I'm happy about that. Monday, nothing. Tuesday, JOLTS job openings. Wednesday, core CPI, regular CPI, month over month, year over year. Crude oil inventories, 10-year bond auction will be very interesting. Thursday, core PPI month over month. Headline PPI month over month, unemployment claims, 30-year bond action, which is usually nothing. And then I think a lot of people are going to be paying attention to this, which is the consumer sentiment and inflation expectations. So buck up for all that. I'm sure it's going to be fun. Let me know how you guys are playing it. Appreciate you guys who watch the video and share them. Please hit that like, subscribe button on your way out. Think about signing up for the membership. Less than McDonald's combo. Let me know if there's anything I can do for you in there that I'm not already doing. And I'll end up seeing you guys tomorrow.